252 million years ago, Earth stood on the edge of two worlds. For millions of years, life had flourished across vast continents and ancient seas. Strange forests covered the land. Giant reptiles roamed deserts the size of modern nations. In the oceans, bizarre creatures swam through warm tropical waters. The planet looked nothing like the one we know today. All land was fused into a single colossal supercontinent, Pangaea, stretching from pole to pole. Its interior was vast, dry, and harsh. Its coastlines teemed with life. The Permian period would become a defining chapter in the history of Earth. It was an age of evolutionary experimentation, when reptiles began to dominate the land and ecosystems reached a level of complexity never seen before. But beneath the surface, forces deep within the planet were stirring. By the end of this era, life would face the greatest catastrophe it had ever known: the Permian Triassic mass extinction, a disaster so severe that nearly all life on Earth would vanish. This is the story of the world before the fall. During the Permian, Earth's continents collided into a single massive landmass, Pangaea. It stretched across almost half the planet. This colossal continent reshaped Earth's climate. Vast interior regions were far from ocean moisture, turning much of the land into scorching deserts and seasonal floodplains. Winters were harsh, summers were brutal, yet life adapted. Forests of conifers, seed ferns, and ginkgo-like plants spread across the landscape. Along rivers and wetlands, lush vegetation formed pockets of green life within an otherwise harsh world. This new environment favored a new kind of animal, the reptiles. Unlike amphibians, reptiles could reproduce away from water thanks to a revolutionary adaptation, the amniotic egg, a protective shell that allowed embryos to develop safely on land. With this innovation, vertebrate life finally broke free from the limits of the water. The age of reptiles had begun. Dominating the Permian landscape were creatures that looked like reptiles but were actually something else. They were synapsids, distant ancestors of mammals. One of the most iconic predators was Dimetrodon. With a massive sail rising from its spine, this apex hunter likely used the structure to regulate body temperature, warming quickly under the ancient sun. Its sharp teeth made it one of the most fearsome predators of its time. But predators need prey. Herbivores like Edaphosaurus grazed on tough Permian plants, using specialized teeth to grind vegetation. Across the continent, entire ecosystems formed around these animals. Massive amphibians lurked in rivers. Reptiles adapted to deserts. Synapsids diversified into dozens of forms. For millions of years, life flourished. The Permian world was stable. But deep beneath the planet's crust, the next chapter of Earth's history was already being written. While reptiles ruled the land, the oceans were home to an extraordinary diversity of life. Ancient reefs built by sponges and algae stretched across warm tropical seas. Armored trilobites, survivors from far older ages, crawled along the seafloor. Shellfish like brachiopods dominated marine ecosystems, while spiral-shelled ammonoids drifted through the water column. These oceans were some of the richest ecosystems the planet had ever seen. Food webs were complex. Predators hunted in open water. Grazers fed along reefs. Burrowing organisms churned the sediment below. For millions of years, the marine world thrived. But the stability of this ecosystem was fragile, and the planet itself was about to change. At the end of the Permian, Earth experienced the most devastating catastrophe in the history of life. Gigantic volcanic eruptions erupted across what is now Siberia. These eruptions formed the Siberian Traps, lava flows covering millions of square kilometers. For hundreds of thousands of years, volcanoes poured carbon dioxide, methane, and toxic gases into the atmosphere. The consequences were catastrophic. Global temperatures soared. Oceans became acidic and depleted of oxygen. Entire ecosystems collapsed. This event, known as the Permian-Triassic mass extinction, wiped out around 90% of marine species and 70% of land animals. Ancient reefs disappeared. Trilobites vanished forever. Forests collapsed. The Permian world ended in silence. In the aftermath of the extinction, Earth was almost unrecognizable. Ecosystems had been shattered. Most species were gone. But life endured. One unlikely survivor was Listoceras. This squat, tusked herbivore became one of the few animals capable of surviving the harsh post-extinction world. For millions of years, it dominated the barren landscapes of the early Triassic period. Slowly, ecosystems began to rebuild. New predators appeared, new herbivores evolved, and among the survivors were small reptiles that would eventually change the planet forever. From their lineage would emerge the creatures that defined the next era of Earth's history, the dinosaurs. The Permian period was both a peak and a collapse. It was the moment when life on Earth reached extraordinary complexity, only to be nearly erased. But extinction is not the end of life's story. It is often the beginning of a new chapter. From the ashes of the Permian catastrophe, evolution would reshape the world once again. And the next stage would belong to giants.